Hello everyone and welcome. Thank you for joining me. Today I'm going to be making a double swing card. So the pieces that you're going to need for this, you need two pieces that are 10 inches by 7 inches. I'm doing mine in white. You will need a piece for the mat, which is 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. And then my layer on top of that will be 4.5 by 6.5. You will want your favourite stamp set. I'm using the stamp set from the Little Birdies, which has got A Little Birdie Told Me and these little funky birds. And you will need a sentiment, and I'm using a happy birthday sentiment from the Duckling Parade stamp set. You will need some tape, some glue. I'm also going to be doing circles in my swing card, and I've already gone ahead and made my embellishments ahead of time. So that's the Little Birdie Tommy and my Little Birdie, and I've already done my happy birthday and I've mounted that on mounting foam. All right, so let's get going. You will need to do a couple of score lines. In one, which is the base, you just need to score it in half, so essentially at 5 inches. And that's your actual base of your card. And then the other one, you need to score at 2.5, 5, and 7.5. And when you fold these, you need to do a mountain, mountain, and a valley. So mountain, mountain, and then the other one is a valley, and it comes back on itself. And so what you're going to end up with is something like that. So that's your mountain, mountain, and your valley. And this is what sits inside your card. When it's opened, it will be, actually it's down here, down in the middle. So just put your card base, actually you can, we'll get all our mats and layers done. So you can attach your layer to your mat, and then that can be attached to the front of your card. Now I'm using double-sided tape. Now the paper that I'm using is from the SB Paper Whimsical, and it's the Daisy Spot. So Daisy Spot is the side that I'm putting down, that I'm putting the tape to. That's the pinker side, and then it also has that yellowy pattern side on the other side. Now I'm actually going to do this, both tape and glue, because when we are going to do die cuts out of this, so when you die cut, you want to make sure that it is all stuck down when you go to do your die cut. So you could glue the whole thing to start with. Actually, I might pull that tape off first so it doesn't glue dry before I get there. You could just glue the whole thing. I'm just choosing to do a bit of tape on it just so that it all stays in place when I go to do it. And then just glue so that when you go to do your die cuts, everything will be stuck down once you've done your die cuts. And you're just going to layer that up. My mats and layers are 1/4 inch smaller than each other. And then do the same thing, do tape or glue. I'm just choosing to do both here as well on this layer, because you're going to be cutting through all of those layers. So essentially it will be 3 layers that you're going to be cutting through. You do want to make sure that your die cutter can cut through that. I'm using the Gemini from Kazaz, which is a Crafter's Companion product, and I know that it will go through all of those layers. And I will cut this off camera, but I will show you how to set it all up first. And then same thing, just add your glue to the back so that when we do those die cuts, you know that the paper around that is going to stay. So this is the front of your card, and then just layer that up onto the front. Just quickly put that on so it doesn't. Now, when I did these ones here, I cut the yellow bit out with the bigger die, and then the white piece, they're a nesting set. So you still get that little bit of difference there, which you're sort of mimicking the same on here. But when you do your dies here, they've got to be slightly bigger so that this piece doesn't get interfered with when the card opens, and that I'll show you that when we get there a bit in a minute. Now, you're only going to be die cutting in that top layer here. You don't want to die cut the back, and you're essentially just going to line up your dies so that they you know, that they're centered, and then this piece here goes in the center of the card. So this is 7 inches, so your halfway mark is 3.5. So I could make sure that this sort of happy birthday is sort of sitting around about that halfway, which should then, actually I might need to just bring that up, because these are about 2.5. Use your mat. It has all the measurements on your mat. You can use that. That's 5 across. So you know that the center of your die should be sort of like halfway, which is your 2.5 inch mark. And then you're aiming to try and get that even bit at the top and the bottom. I just need to move that up a bit there. All right. So I'll run with that. Now, like I said, I am going to cut this off camera, and I'll just pause this. I'm just going to put a little bit of tape in there just to hold it. So I've essentially just made sure that the sort of the center of my die here is about the halfway mark. Right, I'm just going to pause this and then I'll be back in a minute. Right, so I've cut those out now. So that's with the bigger circle. And then these ones here will sit inside so that when this flips around, it's not going to get caught up. Because if you try to use the same piece, as soon as you go to open that card up, it's just going to keep getting stuck on it. Right, so the next thing we're going to do is put this insert into the card, and it's essentially going to sit, this edge here sits down. Now, if you're wanting to do any sort of writing on here, it might be, if you've got, on my paper I have like a, like there's a pattern there, and then you have a smooth side. So I'm just going to make sure my smooth side is down here, and which will allow me to do any, you know, writing or anything that I want on there. So this piece, which means that I folded it the wrong way. Right. Now it looks fiddly, but it's not. It's so if that's the piece, the smooth piece I want to have, we had a mountain, and a valley. So I just had to redo those because I just turned my piece in the other way. Mountain, and then a valley. If you have just plain paper all the way through yours, it won't matter. And that's how it will sort of sit on that, and it has that square look there. So there's not a lot of weight on these, so I'm just going to use tape to stick these down. We don't need anything heavier than that, but if how you stick it down is with glue, then go ahead and stick that down with glue. Just chuck one in the center there. We are going to be cutting a little bit more away on this piece here, and we will do that before we stick it down. So that's how it's going to go there. And we're going to get rid of what you can see here. You actually don't want to see any of that there. So the easiest way to do that is to line up your piece here, and we need to create some tabs that sort of attach itself into here, and we'll just have to sort of eyeball, you know, we want a tab that's sort of that from that edge to about there. We don't want it to come any further, and then we'll have a tab that sort of comes in here and then here and then here. And then just grab a ruler so that you can measure you don't have to be, you know, super measured here, but you just need something to follow, like a cutting line. And we're just going to hand cut this out. So don't let this little bit worry you. You're just creating tabs so that you get rid of the center bit, so you don't see them then in this side here. So that's all I'm doing here. And then once you've done that, you're just going to cut these away, and you're actually cutting these away here and leaving these tabs. So it doesn't matter that they're, you know, a little bit crooked or whatever. You do want to make sure they go right up to the score line, but no further. And there's no set measurement for these tabs. It depends on what size you've cut out for your apertures in the inside. You might have done squares. I've just chosen to do circles. Now you want to make sure that they fold out of the way without bringing up that piece behind it. And then we're just simply going to cut these two off completely, because you don't want to see it from behind. And then the second one. There we go. So then we can attach these pieces down, and these essentially attach to here at the fold of the card. So when you go to fold that down, so it's just a little bit fiddly here, it goes into the center of the card. Got it around the wrong way for a start. That's going to go there, and that's going to go at the top. Now, when you fold it like this, you will see this, but this is what these pieces are going to sit on, and that's what the aperture sits, how the aperture moves. So these pieces here get attached up to the top of that card there. And this piece down to there. So you can go ahead and attach those. I would suggest you probably attach your little flaps first. I've just glued those, it just makes it a bit easier. Right up to the edge. And peel this one off. So like you will see that, like I said, but when you go to attach these, you won't. You sort of see just that, piece down here, but you don't see them essentially. So they can be attached now. You need that to be the other way. And you only need on half. So it's this half here. And then just center that in. And do the same on there. So only half. So when you open the card, they flip out. I have put them around the wrong way though. These flaps here, you shouldn't see. I should have flipped them under and attached them up to this corner here. So when you go to make yours, make sure these little flaps are tucked under. So what I made it a valley. I know that should have been a mountain. So these flaps should be attaching along this edge here, and then you wouldn't see them coming out here. So don't make that same mistake I did. And then you just attach your sentiment onto the front, and then you can embellish the inside of the card any way that you like. Then there's lots of room inside, and see, none of that interferes. But when you open your card up, and you can see these in here, so you could leave this space like I'm going to do, so that it's clear. You could put a matten layer here if you wanted to put a matten layer. You could certainly have put another matten layer here if you wanted to jazz that up a little bit. But that's essentially how you make that. So I hope you enjoyed that. Until next time, thank you.